Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Today, I would like to talk about automotive work again. I am taking my vehicle in for a transmission fluid change. It's a 2012 Prius 2, and I want to let you know one of the things about these dipsticks, particularly transmission fluid, is they used to be red, almost as red as my face right now. But anyway, um, the new dipsticks tend to be darker. I understand, and there are a lot of transmission fluid sticks that don't exist. They're 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 promoted by the car maker as what they call lifetime transmission fluid. I've heard about this lately. And in many cases, if you try to do a transmission fluid change around 30,000 miles, which is probably a good idea, uh, depending on what your car is, you definitely want to research this on your own. I'm not a mechanic and I'm not endorsing anything I'm saying as far as you going out to do something. So don't try to hold me accountable. You have to do your own thought process and do your own research. But my car has slipped somehow up to 77,000 miles. Excuse me. And there's a lot of discussion about this. And from what I understand, and I believe there is no dipstick. I have looked, unless I've missed something. The Prius 2, of course, has to be drained at the bottom. It's a 2012 Prius. Um, there's a nut that comes off, drains. There's a slightly higher nut where you actually put the stuff in. It requires a tube and a pump, from what I understand, and it's quite intricate. I'm going to have my work done professionally at the dealership this coming week. But I just wanted to say we have to be careful. I know I did a video on clean tables. We talked about that. I had an experience, and I think I may have shared this, but I may not have in one of my previous videos. But I had two tire blowouts in the rear of my car on opposite sides within 4 months apart. It's just coincidental that the rear would have those issues on the interstate. One was at the interstate, one was at a golf club. And one, when I put the donut on the vehicle for one side, I had to take it to a Walmart, so it did not have the standard Cooper tire. I use Cooper tires. They're cheap. They tend to last long enough before you replace them, and they're if you get a fair price, they'll be about $50 a piece. Dealerships will charge you close to 100. Sometimes they have specials, where you could get your 4 tires. You might get a card. I had a pretty good deal one time. You bought 3, you got 1 at no cost, and I did the math, and I got some kind of $50 credit on a card, prepaid card, I think it was. So, I always try to use coupons and discounts and specials and any kind of thing that I can do to get the price down. But let me tell you, and I'm going to come back to transmission fluid in a minute, but I am going to go right into the oil thing. Sorry, not the oil. I'm going to talk about the tires, rotating tires. You can visually check when you need to rotate tires because you'll see the tread down on one end of the car, depending on your braking, and you can rotate those tires. And I took my tires in for a rotation, and remember, I did tell you that there were 2 different brands on the back of that car. Well, when it came out, after I paid and looked at the back of the car, it was actually a day later, I just noticed it. Those same tires were in the same position. They were not rotated. And here I was paying for a service and nothing happened. And I went back to the dealership and I discussed this. And I'm not going to say who, I'm going to keep that quiet. And they showed me a video. And I'll admit it was a color camera, surveillance camera, whatever, in the bay. But there are plenty of Priuses that go in there at a Toyota dealership, and mine's charcoal gray. And I gotta admit, the thing looks slightly darker. Might have been a blue, but they argued with me. Said several people looked at this video and really they didn't show me much on the video. They showed me where tires were taken off on the front and laid on the ground flat, and the guy walks away, and that's about as much as I saw of this surveillance video. I didn't see any tires being rotated. And you know, it was odd that someone told me later I got a free oil change out of the deal because he accidentally did this, that, and the other. But I have a feeling the cars got swapped out, and the other guy, whoever this other person was, might have got rotated tires. Or simply the tires weren't rotated like I tried to say before. You know, maybe they're taken off and laid down and put back on. I'm not trying to say that a mechanic is cutting corners, but we're in this world where people are cutting corners. Professional people, you know, service industry people are cutting corners. You know, if you got people getting sick in Dominican Republic, I know they say it's could be mixed drinks or whatever. I just don't know. I don't know where quality assurance is anymore. So I will say this. If you're getting your tires rotated, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Go ahead and do that chalk trick that they talk about. Mark an X on your tires that you're going to have rotated. So that the mechanic can see that you've done that and that he has to do that. Transmission fluid is a very serious thing. You know, that's what keeps the transmission lubricated, all the gears and all that going. I'm going to watch them. I've already told them that I need to watch them do this. I'm not going to be sitting in a waiting area and being told that my transmission fluid has been changed, especially if I can't check it, you know, because there's no dipstick. So I'm going to be looking at changing my transmission and the fluid in the future every 30,000 miles. That's what I'm going to do. Oil is really good. Oil is easy to check. If it's clear, it's fairly fresh. If it's pitch black and it's kind of thick, it's time to change the oil. That's as simple as that. So, you know, you can always check your oil, and you're going to be able to do that. But you need to check your oil and your transmission fluid. Even if you have a good relationship with a mechanic or dealership or mechanic shop, and they tell you your fluid levels are fine, I'm so sorry, but you need to go and check your fluid regularly. You need to check your fluid levels. Many of the older cars, of course, do have the transmission fluid dipsticks, but check your oil. You know, you check your oil with the car off, and you check your transmission fluid with the engine hot or running, preferably running, and running hot. You know, the engine's been driving for a while. But don't get the two confused. You know, if anything, just shut your car off. But oil is checked with the engine off. Transmission fluid is checked with the engine running hot. So anyway, don't get the two confused though. Play this video carefully back if you didn't quite catch any of that. So tires you can visually inspect, tread depth. Some people use a penny, but you can check that. And oil, check your oil. Transmission fluid, check that. Reservoir fluid, water. Don't put water in your reservoir container that goes into your radiator. And absolutely never ever pop a radiator cap when the engine is hot, because it will explode. The pressure underneath will explode and cause you to have severe burns all over your face. Don't ever pop a hot radiator cap or warm radiator cap. Don't do it at all. Engine should have been cold if you're going to do that, and hadn't been driven, you know, for a day, you know. But absolutely do not be popping transmission fluid caps. Okay, don't do that. I'm not transmission fluid caps. I'm sorry, radiator caps. Because they're hot and they're under pressure, and they will cause severe burns, and it explodes, and you'll get it all in your face. So you don't want to do that. So on the reservoirs that go into the radiator, your reservoir, that's where you put your antifreeze in. It's very important you do put your antifreeze in there regularly. Do not skimp and pour water in there, because that can go ahead and bust your radiator. Let me explain. If it's solid water, just water you're putting in there, and winter comes and freezes your radiator and your engine block, you could have breaks. Ice expands. So you don't want to do that. You want antifreeze in there. Antifreeze, proper antifreeze. You got 100 proof solutions where you're supposed to mix, and then you got like these 70, 50 things you got to, you can just pour in directly, and it'll be fine. But get proper antifreeze in there. Don't skimp. It happened to me. I was stationed in Turkey when I was in the Army, and it was hot weather environment, and I've been skimping. I put water in mine, and yeah, I had busted block when it was shipped during the winter. Got over there in Fayetteville, North Carolina, cold winter, and it's just a debacle. I had to pay a great deal of money to get that taken care of. So I'm just saying, look out for yourself. It's just like we get ourselves checked out at the doctor. You need to check your car out routinely. Every week would be a good idea. I'm not saying every day, but at least every week. Get someone to look at your brake lights. Put your foot on the brake. Have someone look. Left turn signal, right turn signal. Check your four-way hazard flashes. Make sure they're working. Put the car in reverse. Make sure the backup lights are lighting up. It's really important to perform routine maintenance on your vehicle. This is going to cost me about $189 with the 10% discount I got. But I could do it myself. There's plenty of research out there that shows you how to do that on the internet. And but I'm not going to do that, because it's at my age. I'm not going to be busting my chops, getting under my car and all that. But I looked at the videos, researching, and it's definitely probably, in my case, worth the $189. But I'm going to be watching them. I'm going to take an extra chair, and I'm going to be sitting out there in the heat of the garage and watching them work, because it's just too critical. We cannot take people's word that everything is fine and your levels are fine and all that. I mean, if you want to, go ahead and do it. But I'm sorry, we're in a world where things have changed dramatically as far as people service, and maybe it's been bad before, but in my generation, we were raised to be straight up honest, and I guess there was always a bad player somewhere. But take care of your car. That way it takes care of you. You don't have these problems. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and today's Saturday the 15th, and as usual, a weekly video. Have a great day, and before you go, please subscribe, please hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and please share. Thank you, and have a great day.